Hello guys, welcome to Redditor's Revenge. Here we post amazing revenge stories daily. And if you want more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel and stay tuned with us. Moving to our today's video, which is an update of the previous video, in which OP's wife cheated on him and his parents supported his cheater wife. After which OP left the house. Now continuing the story. Wednesday, December 2nd. Well, since this morning I no longer call that house home. I saw on the calendar that my wife had a hospital appointment with her ophthalmologist, so knowing she would be gone for a few hours, I took that as an opportunity to get my stuff together and move out, which I have. After getting my things moved and sorted, I just put the house keys on the kitchen table, along with the divorce papers I received from the divorce lawyer last week, and was on my way. I've blocked both my wife's and mother's numbers, and any communication I have with my wife going forward will be done through my lawyer. In terms of my living situation, I'm staying with a friend for a week or two, but hopefully, I should be in my rented place before Christmas. I haven't spoken to my parents in a few weeks. Last time we spoke was via text, and I tried to tell my mother, in explicit detail, the things my wife was saying during her text to the jacket holder. Why did it hurt me so much, and why I didn't think it was her first time doing it with the whole "I'm good at keeping secrets" comment, and thus could never trust her again. My mother texted back saying she couldn't speak to me when I was like this, and she would let me cool off. She tried to phone me a few days ago, and I just blanked her call and has said a bit further up, since today have blocked her number. I feel so let down by my parents, and at this point, it almost feels worse than the original betrayal from my wife. The way I'm feeling right now, I don't think I'll ever speak to them again. I think in times of strife, you look to your family to be strong for you, to be a rock and give you the wronged one support. My parents have been weak. They've made me feel like the one in the wrong, like I'm overreacting, and it's me that's ripping this family apart. Well, it's not. I didn't ask them to move mountains for me. Just move my cheating wife out of the house, and they made their choice. My father also had the chance to put his foot down for once in his life and stand up for me, but didn't. You make your choices and you live with them, I guess. I have to say that I'm interested in the whole dynamic of their relationship now that I'm gone. Like, are my parents gonna continue supporting her knowing that it has finished their relationship with their son? As for me, I'd love to travel. My wife hated flying, so most of our holidays had been to southern England, the likes of Newquay and Torquay and Cornwall and Devon, so would be great to travel abroad again. The last time I was abroad was when I was 20 for a mate's holiday in Greece, so 13 years ago. I'd love to see a bit of America, so once this pandemic calms down, I've got my sights on the States. Wednesday, May 26, 2021. It's been over 7 months since I first posted, and I honestly thought that was it for me, as I didn't need any more advice. I had made my decisions and done what I said I would. But I got a phone call this morning that dragged me back into the mire. I have moved 15 miles away, changed my phone number, and am still in the process of divorcing my wife. She has completely ignored all the requests from my divorce lawyer to cooperate, which has hindered things. We're now in the process of putting in an application for deemed service and trying to have her served officially by the courts. If she continues to ignore, then I can proceed with a divorce without her input. Well, this morning while at work, I got a phone call from my friend telling me that my dad was trying to get in touch as my mother is not well, and would it be okay if he gave him my number? I said okay, and my dad phoned to tell me mom is in hospital. She's stable, though not great. I was shocked, as I had not heard my dad's voice for so long. It was also the most emotional I've ever heard him. He told me my mom wants to see me, so would I meet him at the hospital tonight and go in and see her with him? I said okay, and I'd arranged to meet him outside the hospital. I ended up going home from work as I couldn't concentrate, and I'm climbing the walls here wondering if I've made the right decision. Wondering if I'm about to get dragged back into this shit show that I walked away from. I've never felt so nervous in my life, and the lack of control I have over the situation has sent my mind spiraling in lots of different directions. I feel like I'm walking into a burning building blindfolded with no idea where the exits are. Why does she want to speak to me now? Has she had a change of heart? Unless she's also had a personality transplant while in there, I find that unlikely. Will my wife be there? I have no interest in ever seeing her again. I'm still angry about what transpired with them and the way they took my cheating wife's side over mine. I've been going back and forth in my head about going at all, but I will go. I was also thinking about seeing if she wanted to speak over the phone instead, but not sure if she would do that or even if she's well enough. I feel like the bad guy here and that I might have caused this by walking away. How would you handle this? Saturday, May 29th. So I did end up going to the hospital on Wednesday night after much toing and froing. I was genuinely about to back out at the last minute as I felt my bottle crashing. But I needed some closure and knew that I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't go and something happened. When I drove into the hospital car park, I had this surreal feeling of paranoia, and was half expecting my wife to jump out from behind a bush or something. I met my dad at the entrance and it was pretty awkward as he tried to hug me and I said no. I then said if my wife is here in any way, shape, or form, then I am about to turn and out the door. He assured me she wasn't and we made our way to the ward where Mum was. When I saw my mother, I got the fright of my life as she looked like she had been in the wars. Never have I seen her look so frail. She's got an extreme black eye, also a lot of bruising and purple yellowness down one side of her face. She took a serious fall, broke 2 ribs, shattered her elbow, and banged one side of her head, face on the ground. So elbow, ribs, then head in that order as she went down. She looked zombified but perked up when she saw me. She told me how much she's missed me, and that she wasn't sure she'd ever see me again. I told her if she had wanted to get a hold of me she could have done. We spoke for a bit about what exactly had happened, and how she was down for a few hours before my dad found her. Also that she was determined to get back to normal and mend bridges with me. I brought up my wife and that I had been pushing for a divorce, but she was either ignoring the letters or wasn't getting them. So I asked if she was still in the house. Mum admitted she was and Dad started to look uncomfortable. I just looked away in disgust. Mum started saying how lost my wife is without me and that she's not in a good way. I knew then that nothing will change. She's not had an epiphany or seen things from a new perspective. She just wants the status quo back. She said that the house is my home and always will be, but I told her I don't want it. It means nothing to me anymore and all it holds are bad memories. I stayed for under an hour all in all. When I left I said if I want to get in contact I will. But don't be waiting over the phone for me to call, as you might be waiting a while. When Dad walked me out he asked if I would keep in touch with him and I said I would. Whether that's right or wrong I don't know. Time will tell. When I got home my emotions were a bit all over the place, from sadness to anger, but I'm glad I went. Couldn't help but think about my wife as well, and what she once meant to me. It'll not hurt. When I think about everything that's happened in the last 7 months, it honestly doesn't feel real. The speed at which everything fell apart was just spellbinding. I know life comes at you fast, especially when you're not paying attention, and I wasn't paying attention. It was just sheer luck I found out about her trying to cheat on me. Cosmic coincidence, nothing more. I never saw the signs or put everything together. I just saw something on her watch and it tore my ducking life apart. I know now that it wasn't the only time. I know it in my heart. I see what she is and feel no love for her. Only contempt. I feel she stole the best years of my life. When I think about all the good times, they're just soured. It feels like someone else's life, not mine. My friend was saying I should see a therapist or something to try and let everything out, or else this will fundamentally change who I am and the way I build relationships going forward. That's something I'm going to do, I think, as I do feel a bit broken inside. The last 7 months have been the worst of my life, but I'd rather they happen than be kept in the dark. I'm just hurt that it happened the way it did, but you can't choose the way someone ducks you over, I suppose. You just have to learn from it. I remember reading about loyalty being the most undervalued character trait, and I see that now. It's probably because you don't know if someone is truly loyal to you until, well, they're not. It's not something you deal with every day, but now more than ever, I know how important a trait it is. Tuesday, July 20th. Firstly, I'm now in the home stretch in terms of divorce from my wife. She has signed the divorce papers and sent them to my divorce lawyer, so all that's left now are the formalities. She sent me a message via my dad, where she said she's sorry for not letting me move on. That she thought she could save things, but now she knows she can't, and she has to move on for her well-being. I thank her for seeing sense. She doesn't want anything in the divorce and said she's going to move out of the house when she can get on her feet, which I'm okay with. In terms of my mother, I haven't spoken to her yet, but my dad said she's doing a lot better after getting out of the hospital and getting some normality back. I don't know how things will pan out with them, but I've said that if the house is going to be mine, then I want them to put it into my name now. to give me some security. Then we can start trying to build bridges. We'll see how that goes. My biggest battles ahead are in my head, and trying to get over everything that has happened. The brain is a wonderful yet frightening thing. To give you an example, I can still taste the truffles I scoffed at my grand's house when I was like 5. I've never eaten truffles again, but I can still taste those ducking things 30 years later when I think about it. What I'm getting at is I don't want to harbor thoughts, feelings, and opinions about everything that's happened 30 years down the road. I don't want to be one of those older people who's had everything good knocked out of them by the pain of life. You often hear about those people, how they used to be good, kind of funny, but somewhere along the line, they've had experiences that have forever changed them, turned them into a person they never wanted to be, and all that's left is pain. I don't want to be that person. I have to let this pain go before it consumes me. I have started therapy and spoken to a psychiatrist both over the phone and in person, and it has helped me a lot to speak candidly about everything. If only for a little while. My psychiatrist also said something to me that struck a chord. When I was moaning about how my best years were behind me, she said, "Your best years are the years you've got left." What I think she meant is the past is gone. It doesn't exist, except in your mind. But the here and now do, and you can choose to make the most of it. Or live in the past that isn't real to anyone but you. It's a phrase I'm going to try and remember when I feel down. I said in one of the previous posts that I wanted to travel, and that is finally happening. My friend has committed to coming with me, and we're booking a flight to New York at the beginning of October for a week. Looking forward to it. Always wanted to see New York when the leaves change. Reminds me of that movie You've Got Mail. I want this to be just the beginning of my adventures in terms of traveling. I want my latter 30 seconds to be littered with memories from escapades I've had abroad. Well, that's the plan anyway. All I know is that for the first time in what seems like a long time, I'm waking up with hope in my heart and walking with a spring in my step. If that's not progress, then I don't know what is. Wednesday, October 27th. Well, it's now been a year since my first post, so thought it would be fitting to give one last update and end things here. First things first, I'm now officially divorced. Feels like a weight has been lifted, but also a firm end to what was nearly a third of my life. I saw my ex-wife for the first time since last December as I was walking into a shop in the town center about a month back. After visiting a friend, she was opening the door to walk out just as I was walking in. We were both wearing masks, but I noticed it was her right away, and we made eye contact. She mumbled something that I couldn't make out, then we just sort of stared at each other for a few seconds, then I walked inside. As I was walking around the shop, this feeling of utter sadness just enveloped me, and I had to take a minute to compose myself. It just goes to show that all it takes is one look for you to feel straight back to square one. Do I miss her? No, I miss the person I thought she was, but that person doesn't exist anymore if she ever did. I don't wish her hurt or hardship though, I don't. I just refuse to move forward any longer with hatred in my heart. The only person it'll burden in the long run is me. I also found out from a friend's girlfriend that she was sure she saw my ex-wife outside a pub in the city, all over another guy a couple of years back. She never said anything to me or my friend because she wasn't sure it was her and she didn't want to meddle. I'm extremely pissed off with her, as I could have done with that information years ago. It's hardly conclusive, but I could have confirmed if she was out that night, etc., and it would have saved me a lot of heartache in the long run. Now I know why I've never liked her. I'm struggling when it comes to my parents, and that all I feel towards them is complete apathy. I'm just having a difficult time feeling anything, and no matter how hard I try, I don't think that'll change. My dad has tried to build back the relationship again, but I just don't care anymore. That might sound harsh, but it's the truth. I said earlier that I wanted them to put the house in my name, though I haven't followed up on that. I think I was just angry at the time and wanted to assert some dominance at the outset of our conversations. But I really couldn't give a duck about that house. I think I would rather live in the house from Nightmare on Elm Street than there. It wouldn't change anything anyway. It can't turn back time unless it's turned into a time-traveling house since I've gone, or circumvent what they did. It's just the sad consequence of the choices they made. To anyone out there thinking of forgiving a cheater, please don't, I implore you. You're flogging a dead horse. Don't be that person, desperately scrambling to put out fires started by your cheater partner while they gleefully reignite them. I said in my first post after finding out that I felt like a worse person than I was yesterday. Well, after everything that has happened, I feel like a stronger one too. Thank you for reading my story. Now, here is the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed the part 2 of the story, and if you hadn't watched part 1 you can check it out, link is in the description. Also, let me know your opinion about this story in the comments section. I would love to read them. So before leaving, please hit the like button and do subscribe to the channel to stay tuned with us for more awesome stories.